Garchomp was an offensive titan in its day, but now it's facing a midlife crisis. But in Gen 9, OU is filled with fairy types and younger, fitter dragons that kind of force Garchomp to the perimeter. The most common way Garchomp is used nowadays is as a defensive hazard setter, usually running double hazards, Stealth Rock and Spikes, and then Dragon Tail to force your opponent to repeatedly switch into the hazards. The combination of Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet lets Garchomp punish physical attackers by chipping off 29% of the health bar of any enemy that uses a contact move. Garchomp has viable offensive sets too, but they do face strong competition from the many other dragon types in the tier. These offensive sets can run Choice Band, they can run Scale Shot plus loaded dice, and try to go for a sweep, or you can run a mixed Garchomp. It's a bit cheese, it's a bit spicy, but Garchomp really does appreciate having special fire type coverage. You can spam Draco Meteors, but not mind the special attack drop because you also have physical moves. Problem is, its base special attack is only 80, which is a bit pathetic. Garchomp's typing is a mixed bag in Gen 9. The resistances are nice, the weaknesses to Dragon and Fairy are manageable but not ideal, but the quadruple Ice weakness is killer because everything in the tier is running Ice type coverage at the moment. Any special attacker that learns Ice Beam will probably run it, any physical attacker that learns Ice Spinner will probably run it, and Garchomp's kind of catching a stray bullet. These moves are really aimed at the other ground types. They're aimed at Gliscor, at Landorus Therian, at Great Tusk, and Garchomp, by virtue of its shared typing, is kind of getting wrecked. If you're running an offensive Garchomp, you probably want Terra Fire or Terra Steel. They both resist ice, so they flip your weakness into a resistance. Terra Fire will also boost the damage of your Fire Fang, or Terra Steel gives you just a solid all-round defensive typing. However, most common Terra type for Garchomp is Ghost, and that's because on the defensive set, when you're setting these hazards, being able to block enemy rapid spins is very, very useful. Garchomp can't stop Great Tusk from getting a rapid spin off. It can punish it with a large amount of chip damage though. There are 5 Pokemon in the metagame that resist Garchomp's Dragon Ground Stab combo. They are the Steel Flyings, Corviknight and Skarmory, and then Enamorus, Ribombee, and Levitate, Weezing Enamorus is not the most common Pokemon, but it is notable as being the only thing that is immune to both Dragon and Ground. To do any damage at all to Enamorus, Garchomp is going to want some coverage. For as long as Garchomp's been alive, Fire has been both its best hypothetical coverage option and kind of a cursed one, because you either have to go special or run a weak physical move in Fire Fang. But Fire does beat the Steel Flyings, which is quite important because otherwise Corviknight and Skarmory can just switch in basically for free into Garchomp. Corviknight can defog all of the progress that Garchomp tried to make. Stone Edge and Iron Head are also totally viable. Beyond hazards and Swords Dance, it doesn't get much in the way of utility. Rocky Helmet Garchomp likes to come into battle in the early and mid game to get hazards on the field and start phasing. It's a great tool to have in your back pocket against physical setup sweepers and booster energy users, because it will force them out and get rid of the boosts. If your opponent has an Ogerpon in and they click Swords Dance, go ahead and click Dragon Tail. If the opponent has a Maushold in and clicks Tidy Up, you can let them click Population Bomb, because only one of the Pokemon on the field is going to be fainting, and it won't be Garchomp. Garchomp does well into most of the tier's fire types, thanks to its strong Earthquake. Just be careful of Blaziken and Iron Moth. Once they're set up, Garchomp won't be able to stop them. For a similar reason, Garchomp is very good into the poisons, the rocks, and most of the steels. Iron Treads often runs Ice Spinner, which will flip the tables on Garchomp, and King Gambit is just King Gambit. It can do some really silly stuff in the endgame. Both of Garchomp's sets are pretty annoying for stall. After a Swords Dance, its stall breaks really well, and with Dragon Tail for phasing, once you knock off the stall team's boots, hazards will tear them to pieces. One of the great things that Rough Skin plus Rocky Helmet lets you do is punish U-Turn. U-Turn is one of the most spammable moves in the game. Just having a Garchomp will make your opponent think twice. For that reason, it does very well against the bugs that like to spam U-Turn. And, finally, it matches up pretty nicely into some common dedicated leads, like Samurott Hisui and Araquanid. There are 3 major problems for Garchomp, and then quite a few minor ones too. The first major problem is the birds. There are many flying types in OU, and in particular of these birds, Corviknight and Gliscor are just brutal. Gliscor can come in basically for free, it can set up hazards, it can toxic Garchomp, it can heal back a huge amount of health with Poison Heal. It's very, very annoying. And then Corviknight will just sit on you forever. Max attack invested Swords Dance Garchomp will 2-hit KO Corviknight with Fire Fang, but you have to get there. And if the Corviknight's running Iron Defense, then keep dreaming. Problem number 2, the fairy types. There are also a lot of fairy types in the tier. Fairies are particularly annoying for the offensive sets because their immunity to Dragon means they deny not just the damage of Scale Shot, but the speed boost too. If your opponent has a defensive fairy type, Garchomp is probably not going to be able to muscle through on its own. And then the third problem is ice. Now, there are only 3 ice types in the tier, Ninetales, Alola, Weavile, and Kyurem. So that's good, right? Not too much to worry about. Problem is, there's an awful lot of Pokemon that can run ice-type moves, and Garchomp loses to all of them. These include strong special attackers like Darkrai, strong physical attackers like Meowscarada, and the most common Pokemon in the tier, Great Tusk, which commonly runs Ice Spinner. The last category of Pokemon that Garchomp struggles with is the dragons. It tends to lose the mirror match against other dragon types because 102 speed just isn't what it used to be. If you look at the other dragon types in the tier, we have Pokemon like the Lati twins, we have Dragapult, we have Walking Wake, we have Dragon Dance, Dragonite. Garchomp is getting outspeed by all of them. Now, the offensive set can flip the tables if you get a scale shot off, because once you're faster than the dragons, you do beat them. So you'll lose to Dragapult in a neutral scenario, but if you've got the speed boost, you will easily one-shot a Dragapult with Scale Shot. But all else being equal, Garchomp does lose the mirror matches. So it's a pretty balanced matchup spread, all things being considered. We are taking some heavy losses, but getting some legitimate wins too. However, when we narrow it down to just the best of the best, the Pokemon that are ranked A+ and S in the tier, it doesn't look so good for Garchomp. With a record of 4 wins, 4 neutral matchups, and 9 losses against the top metagame, Garchomp is struggling. And funnily enough, Gholdengo will flip the matchup with Air Balloon, so you have to pop the balloon before Garchomp actually wins against it. The problem for Garchomp is that there are 4 other dragon types in these top echelons. There's Raging Bolt, Dragonite, Kyurem, and Dragapult, all of which have some major advantages over Garchomp. Okay, you might say, well, let's go with the defensive set. Well, the defensive set is facing very stiff competition from Ting Lu, which is also a ground type, also likes to run Spikes, Stealth Rock, and a phasing move, and it's much bulkier than Garchomp. Garchomp wishes it could take hits as well as Ting Lu. But Garchomp does have Rough Skin going for it, and Dragontail does have some distinct advantages over Whirlwind. The 2 flavors of Garchomp fit onto very different team styles. Loaded Dice Scale Shot Garchomp really thrives on hyper offense teams. It needs to keep the pace up, it wants to break holes for other strong sweepers, and it wants to just set up and then keep going till something explodes. On the other hand, the defensive Garchomp finds its home on balanced teams. It is a slow Pokemon, it's about making steady progress, getting hazards. When team building balance, you may find often that you'd rather just have a Ting Lu, but there will be times when the unique traits Garchomp brings to the table make it a worthwhile pick. Its most common teammate is Gholdengo, because it's just the best spin blocker in the tier. If you have a Garchomp that's setting up a whole bunch of hazards, and you know your opponent's going to want to click Rapid Spin or Defog, Gholdengo is the noodle for you. It also, as a steel type, resists all 3 of Garchomp's weaknesses, Ice, Fairy, and Dragon. So the 2 pair beautifully. Other balanced staples like Kingambit, Iron Valiant, Great Tusk, Cloaking Galar are similarly great with Garchomp. It is very rare to see it on dedicated archetype teams like Sun or Rain. Funnily enough, despite Great Tusk being its 4th most common teammate, Garchomp actually decreases the probability of Great Tusk being on the team quite a lot. Great Tusk's natural usage rate is up in the 30s, so only 19% usage is actually severely decreased from the baseline because they're both ground types. But Great Tusk is so good, and its role is complementary to Garchomp's, so even with the decrease, it's still the 4th most common teammate. Overall, Garchomp gets a ranking of B in Scarlet Violet Overused. It's not doing anything truly irreplaceable. The tier has other hazard setters with phasing, it has other ground types, it has other dragon types. Garchomp probably won't be your first choice, but if you're a fan of Garchomp, and of course you are, look at Garchomp, it's beautiful, it's a shark with legs, then you can still find great success building a team around it. Thank you all for watching, and to the wonderful channel members for your support. I think I'm going to hit 1,000 subscribers with this one, which is pretty cool. I'll be able to monetize the videos, and then I will finally be able to live out my dream of working for McDonald's by proxy, as their advertising team gives YouTube money to give to me to let McDonald's play their ads on my videos to give to your brain. So that's good. I finally get to work for not just McDonald's, but like Grammarly. What ads do you guys get? I get like Grammarly mostly. Yeah, in fact, I can't think of any ad I get other than just incessant Grammarly ads, which are quite annoying. So I guess good job to Grammarly for like infiltrating my brain with mild annoyance. This video is not sponsored by Grammarly and never will be. I'm willing to solemnly swear that I will never take a sponsorship for Grammarly on this channel, because actually I have used Grammarly. It's like an AI writing assistant, which there are a dime a dozen these days, so it's not like anything special. But I've used it because we got it for free. But I wouldn't pay for it personally. I don't think it's worth all that. I guess I don't know. Would I take money from Grammarly to like shut up about them? Like if they said, Henry, we're going to give you $500, just don't mention our name again, because every time you mention it, you say that you shouldn't buy it. I'd probably do that. Yeah, I'm willing to take hush money from Grammarly, just not a sponsorship. Okay. Anyway, goodbye.